Okay, I think we're running. I think we're up and good. Hello. So, it took me like 2 hours to get everything set up here. Much longer than I was anticipating. I've never done a multi-camera setup for a stream like this before, and as you might have noticed, there's a small camera up in the top right hand of your corner, the top right corner of your screen, which shows sort of a desktop view. That's actually like right up here, just behind that camera. Let me just adjust, I forgot that I left the volume of that computer at 100, which would not have been great because it's located right under the microphone. So I am still a little sick. I'm recovering from probably the flu, but I didn't want to wait on this any longer. I've been trying to get this build put together for the better part of 8 months, believe it or not. What you're looking at right now, this spread is set up this way intentionally. No, I don't need both of these cases, but I wanted to show what I was going from and to. This was a computer that I built for my best friend probably about 7 years ago. Pretty top of the line back then. I want to say like moderately top of the line, like just under top of the line back then. She picked most of the parts, but I was the one who kind of said, okay, this is compatible with that. If this is what you want, we want to go with this, that kind of thing. And then I put it together for her. It was a little difficult because this case is a nightmare case. This is back in the days when very few things were ease of access. Everything had to be screwed. The only thumb screws on this entire case are on the back panel here, which open up the sides. Maybe about 3 years ago, maybe a little longer, she wanted a new computer. So she bought a bunch of new parts, and I built that one for her. It was a much smaller case, which was something that she wanted because she thought this was too big. What ended up happening was she said if I wanted this one, I could buy it off of her. And when I got this, I don't remember what she had it called. I name all of my machines. I name my phones, I name my video game consoles, I definitely name all my computers. I don't remember what she had this one named as, but I call it Toto. So this was my Toto build, and it's never been to Kansas, so before you make that joke. But it was time to get a new one. Toto was getting up there in age. I was having CPU freezes, video card bottlenecks. I was having difficulty just starting things up. I mean, it would take 5 minutes to load to the Windows screen. It had like 8 gigabytes of RAM, and I had upgraded it to 16 about 1.5 years ago, which did help for a little bit. It just wanted to be an old man and not function. So the idea was to get a system that through a series of upgrades could become my new main rig, the new platform where I do all my things. So what I decided I was gonna do was I was gonna start a build from the processor up. Now down here on the very right here, this right here, that is a Ryzen 5 2600X, and that along with this motherboard were the biggest points of change in this system build. This was the processor I wanted. I thought about the 2700X, but it came, this 2600X came packaged with this motherboard. And the 470 chipset is incredible as far as I'm concerned. And not just because it's new, it's optimized for this processor. These two are gonna go hand in hand very well. It may not be the biggest motherboard, it may not be the baddest motherboard, but it is a very good motherboard. And it's pretty too. I'm gonna be reusing a couple of parts only because I'm not super well off when it comes to money. And unfortunately, especially the last few months, finding components for computers has been a nightmare. Things have just been ridiculously expensive, especially graphics cards. So one of the things I'm gonna be redoing, or reusing rather, is the graphics card. I do have an idea of a replacement one that I'm gonna get, but I wanna wait and see. They just announced the 2000 series from NVIDIA, the RTX 2000 series. And I do wanna look at those and see what that's gonna be like before I buy something from the last gen. I don't want something that's gonna become obsolete again next year. Ideally, this should last for a little while. Right now, the power supply and the video card are being reused. This case, which is a Phanteks Enthoo Luxe tempered glass, this was the first piece that I bought for this build. I bought this and I said, okay, I'm gonna make a build that's gonna fit in here, that's going to look nice, that's gonna game nice, that's gonna help me, you know, produce nicely. And I just wanted something that was gonna look good, something that I could put on my desk, take pictures of, and brag about. And then the AMD Ryzen 2 series processors came out. And I knew I wanted to do AMD. Honestly, a lot of people like to do AMD versus Intel when it comes to processors, just like they like to do AMD versus NVIDIA when it comes to GPUs. And really, we're in a world now where pretty much everything, technologically speaking, is on par with each other. With this processor, because it is a 6-core, 12-thread processor, the threads are I want to say optimized a little better for working in terms of if I wanted to game and stream at the same time, or if I'm making music and streaming at the same time. Those are some pretty heavy CPU processes, especially the streaming. And having an AMD is going to help me do that without necessarily having to have a separate machine to capture the streaming. So yeah, one of the things that you might notice is that there's a CD drive, well, DVD Blu-ray drive in this case. And that is because when I first got this case, I said, all right, Toto, you've lived your life. It's time to move over. Your younger brother, your bigger younger brother is gonna move in and start taking some of the load. So I've actually been using this chassis for about 2 months. I needed to get this retired. So now that it is retired, and you can see it's nice and open here, and that's because there's pretty much nothing inside. Just little tabs and bits and stuff. So I'm gonna move this to the side. Goodbye, Toto. Toto has served me well and moved almost as often as I have. So rest in peace, Toto. Now moving on to the Black Ice build, which is what I'm calling this build. Eventually I'm gonna get a new power supply, I'm gonna get a new video card, I wanna do some water cooling in here. It's gonna be a project. It's gonna be a long running project because those kinds of things are expensive. I could do it if I chose to be homeless for the next couple months and never eat. But I consider those things kind of important. So yeah, we're reusing the power supply and the graphics card from Toto. They're already in this system. I'm gonna have to pull them out anyway to get this all set up, so you'll be able to see all the components that I have in there. I did get a very small 120 gigabyte solid state drive because Toto was running on a single 1 terabyte hard drive with a 320 gigabyte hard drive as a backup. It was not even close to blazing speeds. This is just basically gonna be a system boot. I might put some of my programs on here, like my video editing software when I get that, music creation software, maybe my streaming software, we'll see. I kinda have to play around with it a little bit and see what really gets affected by being on there and what I can get away with having on the hard drives. Sometime in the future I do wanna get an M.2 drive and maybe a couple of backup SSDs as well. Like I said, this is a project PC. I'm probably gonna be working on this for years, realistically speaking. And then I decided that we need a little bling, right? It's Black Ice, it's not just ice. I went ahead and I got the RGB memory. This actually was the most recent thing I got. This took the longest to buy. Come on, like I just need the memory. I have the memory, we're gonna use it, it's gonna glow, it'll be pretty, it'll be exciting, and we'll all share in that enjoyment together. I think that's enough blabbing for now. What's up guys, Future Mark here. Or I guess by the time you see this it'll be past Mark, so slightly less past than previous past Mark. Yeah. Anyway, I recorded that stream about a month ago, and as you can see, Black Ice is completely built, or completely. Obviously, there's still some stuff that needs to be put in there. I need to get the new video card, which I'm still waiting on the RTX thing to drop and figure out what I'm going to do in that front. But in the meantime, you can get to part 2 of this video, which will have sort of a time lapse of the build and what happened in that stream. And you can get there by clicking up here. If there's nothing up there, it's not ready yet. But once it is ready, yeah, check out my Twitch, check us out on Twitter, and if you guys have any comments, leave them in the space below. Give us a like, subscribe if you're interested. If you're not, oh, okay. I'm surprised you watched this entire video. We'll see you guys next time.